When you go to sleep at night doesn't mean you're resting. Because you close your eyes at night and you are asleep physically doesn't mean that you're actually resting. And the reason that you don't rest is because while you're awake, everything and everybody that's in and around your life is so full of issues, problems, insecurities, dysfunction, negativity. Your mind and your spirit is in turmoil. Issues and problems, arguments, yelling, screaming, dysfunction. All of these issues are going on. All day, every day. So, when you wake up every morning, you've got a choice. You can get up and just exist, or you can get up and walk with a purpose. It's not about just getting through the day. It's about moving with intention. When you walk with a purpose, every step counts. Every move you make has meaning. You're not just going through the motions, you're moving towards something greater. We're all walking a path in this life. Some of us walk by sight, guided by what we see, what we touch, what we can control. Others, we walk by faith. We trust in what we can't see and what we don't fully understand, but we know deep down that we are being led by something greater than ourselves. Blind faith can be perilous when God's plan doesn't make sense. Yet, it's through these moments of confusion that our faith is tested and strengthened. Trust in the unseen and have faith that clarity will come with time. Walking with God is not about having all the answers. It's about trusting that the answers will come. It's about taking that first step, even when the road is unclear. You see, faith is not about seeing the whole staircase. It's about taking the first step, knowing that God will guide your feet. It's easy to walk when the path is clear, when the sun is shining, and when everything is going our way. But true faith shows up in the dark, in the uncertainty, in the storms. The fact that you're still alive and still on this earth, even though it's been challenging and rough, and sometimes you get discouraged and uninspired to keep going, God has a plan. You will grow through what you go through. Everything that you're going through at some point, it makes no sense to you right now. And let me tell you something, God's timing is perfect. We live in a world that wants everything instantly. We want answers now, solutions now, blessings now. But God doesn't work on our timetable. He's not in a rush. He's not worried. He knows exactly when to move, when to act, when to deliver. Your job is not to figure out the timing. Your job is to keep walking, keep trusting, keep believing. There may be hidden agendas and deeper purposes behind following God's plan. Look beyond the surface and trust that every twist and turn is guiding you toward a more profound understanding and achievement. See, everybody wants to talk about God's plan like it's a straight path paved with gold, lined with roses, and a nice, easy stroll. We paint this picture where God's plan is all about blessings, joy, and smooth sailing. But I'm here to tell you something you might not want to hear. God's plan isn't designed to keep you comfortable. God's plan will break you, challenge you, and sometimes it will bring you to your knees. And that's not a sign that you're on the wrong path. It's the exact opposite. Think about it. We look at the Bible and see these stories of triumph, but we forget the pain and struggle. We love to shout about David taking down Goliath, but we forget about the years he spent running for his life, hiding in caves. We celebrate Joseph becoming the right hand to Pharaoh, but we skip over the betrayal, the pit, and the prison. Let's talk pain. Let's talk struggle. That's part of God's plan too, and anyone telling you otherwise is selling you a lie. We all pray for strength, for resilience, but then we curse God when He puts us in situations that require those very things. You think you're going to develop patience without being tested? You think you'll learn humility without being humbled? God's plan isn't about giving you what you want, it's about making you who you need to be. I need you to hear me. God doesn't care about your comfort as much as He cares about your character. Let that sink in for a minute. Your prayers for success, for love, for healing, God hears them. But sometimes, God's plan involves letting you walk through hell so you can come out refined, stronger, and with a testimony that speaks louder than any easy win ever could. God's plan doesn't prioritize your happiness. Now, don't twist my words. I didn't say God doesn't want you to be happy. But if you're chasing happiness at the expense of your growth, at the expense of your faith, you might just be missing the mark. We've got too many people out here treating God like a vending machine. We punch in a prayer, and we expect a blessing to pop out, but when it doesn't, we're ready to walk away. But what if I told you that unanswered prayers are part of the plan too? What if God's silence is an invitation to dig deeper, to lean in closer? What if the very thing you see as a curse is actually your biggest blessing in disguise? Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the success stories of others? Those moments where it seems like everyone around you is receiving their breakthroughs, their miracles, their victories? It's not that you don't want the best for them. Of course, you're happy to see others succeed. You've prayed for them, supported them, and genuinely celebrated their wins. But deep down, you can't help but wonder, when is it my turn? You're doing your best to stay hopeful, but sometimes it feels like your prayers are just echoes. You're weary. Weary of putting on a brave face, of waiting, of hoping. Weary of trusting when all you want is a sign, a hint that your breakthrough is coming. The longer you wait, the harder it gets to believe that your time will come. You hear about these incredible things happening to others, and a part of you is genuinely grateful. God mended their broken relationships, brought their wandering loved ones back, healed them from sickness. And yes, there's joy in that, but there's also a little ache, isn't there? You're sitting there thinking, what about me? What am I doing wrong? Why are my prayers going unanswered? You've been faithful, you've been diligent, but where's your miracle? Maybe your marriage is on the rocks, maybe you're fighting an illness, maybe you've been laid off from that job you thought was secure. And you're sitting there thinking, God, this can't be part of your plan. Not this. But let me tell you, God's plan isn't always about the destination. Sometimes it's about the detours. And so many of us have been there, crying out to God, just one sign, just one answer. Please. You believe in His power, you've seen it in action for others. But when it comes to your own needs, the silence can be deafening. That's often when we're tempted to take matters into our own hands. We think, if God's not moving fast enough, maybe I need to push things along. Some walk away altogether, saying, if this is what faith gets me, then I'm done. But how long are you willing to wait? How long should you keep believing, even when there's no visible change? There's a purpose for every delay, every detour, every closed door. Sometimes God has to close one door to open another. Sometimes He has to let things fall apart so that something better can come together. Sometimes He has to take you through the valley so that you can appreciate the mountaintop. Trust His process. Trust His plan. It's exhausting to keep trusting when every day feels the same and nothing seems to be moving forward. But don't lose heart. Even if it feels like your miracle is delayed, keep walking, keep obeying, keep trusting. If you give up now, you might miss the very blessing that's been on its way to you. So how do you hold on in the waiting? Here's the truth to remember: Jesus is worth the wait. Always. We're often in such a rush, wanting everything on our timeline, forgetting that there's a bigger plan at play. The Spirit moves at its own pace, and there's wisdom in the wait. Getting what you want before you're ready can be a curse, not a blessing. Remember, God's timing is rarely our timing. We're used to instant results, but God sees the whole picture. Waiting doesn't mean God has forgotten you. In fact, He's preparing something far better than what you're asking for. He's not just working on your circumstances, He's working on you. Sometimes, the miracle isn't about what happens to you, but what happens within you. God knows what you need most, even when you're fixated on what you want most. As you wait, don't get distracted by what's happening in everyone else's life. Keep your focus on Jesus and what He's doing in you. The comparison game only steals your peace and clouds your perspective. God wants to bless you, but sometimes He needs to refine you first. Are you open to that? Are you willing to let God work on you before He works for you? Waiting can be frustrating, but it's not wasted time. It's purposeful, and it's teaching you to lean into Him. You're learning that your deepest need isn't the miracle itself, but a deeper connection with the miracle worker. God is shaping you, molding you, and sometimes that takes longer than we'd like. Trust that He knows what He's doing. Trust His process, even when it feels uncomfortable or slow. God's timing is about more than just granting your wishes. It's about growing you, preparing you, and drawing you closer to Him. We all want control over our lives, but there's a divine orchestration at play that goes beyond our comprehension. True strength lies in surrendering to this greater plan while making choices that align with our values and aspirations. So, take courage. Courage to wait, courage to trust, courage to believe that God is at work, even when you can't see it. Pray for patience, not just for the miracle. Pray for the strength to endure the wait. And remember, God's plan is always better than our own. He will either give you what you ask for or something even better that you didn't know you needed. So keep your hope alive. Keep your eyes on Jesus. Stay faithful in the wait, because He is worth it. Waiting is hard, but it's also necessary. It's in the waiting that God builds our character, strengthens our faith, and prepares us for His best. So don't just wait for your miracle, wait for the one who brings the miracles. God's plan is the ultimate act of faith. And in this season, as you wait, may you find that your hope isn't just in what God can do for you, but in who He is to you. You might find yourself saying, God, I don't understand it. I don't even like it. But I trust you anyway. And that kind of faith, that's where miracles happen. We've got to stop fighting God's plan and start flowing with it. Stop complaining about the storm and start learning how to dance in the rain. God's plan doesn't always make sense on our timetable or according to our logic. But it doesn't have to. Because if you trust the one who holds the plan, you don't need to know every step. You just need to take the next one. God's plan is bigger, bolder, and more beautiful than anything you could ever dream of. But it will also demand more of you than you ever thought you could give. Are you willing to take that step? Are you ready to say yes to the process, to the pain, and ultimately, to the promise? It's not going to be easy, but it will be worth it. And that's a promise you can hold on to. God bless you all, and may you find the courage to live out God's plan, no matter what it looks like.